Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Pitstop Fracas, your weekly Formula One fix. There was a lot going on in the world of motorsport this week, and here to join me to go through some of these hot topics, I have Kwame, Martin, Kunle, and Ant. Let me come to you first, Kunle. It's been a while. How you keeping? How's it over there in Canada?
I'm good, man. The sun's out, lockdowns lifted, I've been away. It's not been, I've been listening. I've been watching. People been speaking on my name, but I'm here now. I'm here.
Exactly, bro. People have been calling you out, man. And it's good to have you back on for this podcast. But Kunle, you care to share any details of what you've been up to, or is that best left unsaid?
Nah, come on, man. Don't do that to me. Yeah, let's just say we've been outside. We're outside.
Yeah, that's good, man. Good to hear. I know for a fact you're definitely celebrating that win last week, though, for Lewis.
Oh, I was. That was a good one. That was a good one. I was out. I was watching on my phone. I was out. Mm-hmm. The red flag helped. helped. I was out, but it was a good win. Lovely win. Loved it.
Nice to hear. Nice to hear. And obviously,
I got some tears in here that I'm still sipping on.
Oh, bro, that's slow. I've got my wine here as well. I'm going to be sipping this slowly throughout the pod. Enjoy that, because obviously the saltiness of Red Bull we'll get into that later on in the pod. Kwame, how you keeping, bro?
I've been good, man. It's good to be back on the pod. It's been a while now, so I'll be on. So yeah, good to be back to my F1. And last week was a very eventful week, so yeah, good man. To see that's kicking off.
Yeah, there was just too much going on last week, and I think in the lead up to Sunday, we had planned out everything we were going to go over in the pod, and then obviously the events on Sunday just threw the original script out the window, and we just had to focus on the incident and the race itself. But yeah, a couple of those hot topic items we're going to get into today. Martin, how you keeping, bro?
Yeah, not too bad. Been a bit of a quiet week, I suppose. But
exactly.
Yeah. Well, I say it's been a quiet week. I mean, quiet week in my life, but on F1 Twitter, it's been a bit of a. They've been drawing me in at times. I can't lie.
Bro, it gets too much when I was pulling up pictures of Helmut Marko winning the Le Mans and posting that on the Pitstop account. That's how I was arguing with 16-year-olds about Helmut Marko's motor racing legacy.
What was that about?
So I think so. You know what it was? Yeah, I was getting so frustrated during the race with obviously the Red Bull comments, and it just sprung to mind. I was like, was Helmut Marko even a good racing driver? I just threw it out there on Twitter. And this was during the race, and then like the next day, I think it was like on Monday or Tuesday, someone commented or quoted it and was like, "Oh, by the way, you got to respect him. He won a Le Mans and this and that." And I was like, "Okay, bro, calm down." I then was like, "Fine, let me go and do my digging." And I researched on him. Yeah, this guy never earned a world championship point, and he had never beaten his teammate. He unfortunately got into an accident, which I think blinded him in 1 hour at the time, but up until then his career as a racing driver wasn't that good. So yeah, man, I was just arguing with these guys. I think he must have been about 15-16 years old, and he's telling me about the Le Mans in 1970. I had to pull up a black and white picture of the doctor. It was quite funny, to be honest with you.
You can't argue with them. I realized, listen, when you got a day job, they got time. They're on school holidays now. They got time.
That's what it was. These guys got too much time.
Them guys are nothing to don't mind them. They're just different kettle of fish. We had this conversation too many times. Just let them do them.
You know what? I think I was on such a high that I was ready. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I was ready. I was ready to go to war with these F1 Twitter lot, and obviously the Max Verstappen and Red Bull stands. But yeah, we'll get into that in a bit. Last but not least, Ant, how you keeping, bro?
I'm good, man. It's crazy how you're saying, an LH win just gives you mad drive for the next couple of days, suddenly life's looking good. The sun came out, a couple of cans, you know. But right now just taking shelter from the rain and that. But yeah, not too bad. Glad to be back on.
Bro, you summed it up perfectly. I mean, I think I was smiling throughout the whole of the start of last week. I was just so happy. It was just beautiful. I was wheeling up old content. Oh, brilliant.
Oh, mate,
it was long may it continue. But we're not even halfway yet, so it'll be interesting to see now what happens for the rest of the championship. But obviously the events of Verstappen and Lewis and that incident dominated their headlines this week. But before we actually got into any action at Silverstone, F1 actually unveiled the quote-unquote concept design for the 2022 car. And Ross Brawn described it as 30 man-years put into this 2022 concept. Now, I think the aim of it is obviously to improve on-track racing, make it more exciting, improve overtaking, cut out all of this technical, fluffy, no, not technical, sorry, not fluffy, all this technical, intellectual, high-tech stuff around the front wings, and just keep it simple and just try and improve racing between the drivers. So there was a lot going on there, and to be honest with you, until I actually see them on track and competing at the first race next year, we will only see then how effective it is. But I'm going to come to you first on this, Kwame, being the technical head in the group. What was your first impressions? Obviously, first and foremost, they're saying that it's going to allow to improve racing when you're following a car quite closely. So they're saying that you're going to have a loss of downforce of about 4% within 20 meters and only 18% within 10 meters, which is a drastic change from what it currently is. But yeah, what was your initial take on that in particular?
I mean, with the FIA, they always talk a lot. They always talk a lot about this thing will bring change. This new regulation will change this. This regulation will change that. And so far in this new regime, with was born in charge, obviously, him being a ex, Ferrari born Honda Benton guy, aerodynamics as well. There's been quite a few changes as well. It's been working out. Obviously, you've seen the barge boards and the high reg low rate cars, how that's changed this year, and also seeming as well with this year, it seems like what they've been saying matches what's been changing. Like, for example, the new changes they've added to the cars, for example, from this year, for example, looks like them changing the rear ring of the car. They've also changed how the rear ring is designed, so it's much more rounded off. Much more rounded off, as you can see some of the photos. A bit more wide and a bit more broad as well. And they've also even kept on DRS as well, which has been a very good addition in recent F1 years, making the cars faster condition, faster taking closer and quicker in straights and DRS zones. So I feel like in that aspect, I do agree with them. I think that's true. I feel like that will hopefully get rid of the issue such as dirty air in F1, which is a prominent issue. He drives in the radio complain about dirty air, because essentially means that it's less likely for them to. It's harder for them to overtake because they're obviously going against the flow of the car or not. For reason with dirty air, it's the same thing as literally slipstream or drag, but it's just to the detriment of the car, not to the advantage. But yeah, you've got that changes. They've seen the change up the floor apparently with the car, making the movement around her. The bodyworks this time is back to being a low rake system, much more lower compared to this year, obviously, where you see the high rate cars such as the ball benefiting. So yeah, it does seem like the change is in the right direction, but I feel like we should have to wait and see. It does seem like they have done a lot of work, a lot of testing, as you're seeing with the new tires, which will hopefully reduce the tire blowouts and the spinning and what you've been seeing this year. And also they've been doing a lot of simulation work as well behind the scenes, bigger people like Anthony Davis and whatnot. So yeah, I'm just hoping that this actually adds to the changes of racing, because as you've seen with the sprint race example, not sprint racing, but just racing in F1 in general, overtaking can be such a chore. So hopefully this makes it a racing closer. Hopefully this bridges the field back together because everyone will be back in square one. So everyone will have to get these rules on job. So yeah.
Yeah, look, obviously, let's see what happens. They're promising us this. You know, there was a lot, to be honest with you, I felt, especially on F1 Twitter and F1 space in general, there was a lot of excitement, a lot of talk about this, a lot of, there's a lot going on, but you guys know me by now. I like to keep my reservations, and until we see it first race and see that on track action, can't get too excited. But I'm going to come to you, Kunle, on this, just because we know you like aesthetically pleasing things. You know, if something looks good on the eye, you're going to be attracted to it. You know, you get drawn in by things like that. So the car itself, the 2022 car, it had this silver livery with a few red lines going throughout it. I mean, what did you think of that? Do you like the way the car looks? Do you like the 18-inch wheels? Do you like the rear wing? Just from a looks point of view,
are we still talking about cars?
Of course, we're talking about cars, bro. We're not deviating. We're talking about cars, bro.
Okay.
Kunle, so what? So you I said 18-inch wheels.
Okay. To be fair, I've not really. You see them, like you said, it's still the concept car that we saw, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've not seen any teams put their livery on the cars yet, per se, to see what it would look like, when it's been displayed. So I'm not overly excited, but it does look good. But then when I saw a funny joke I think I saw on Twitter or somewhere or WhatsApp, someone said, is F1 admitting that the IndyCar look better? Like the Indy 500 cars. Like it's more like someone said, it feels like they're taking the shape and the way those cars look and bringing it to F1 and just slapping the halo on it. But like you said, let's see what they look like on track next year. And yes, I do like the fine things in life. I like to see things look beautiful, especially F1 cars. So let's see how it goes. Let's see next year.
Of course. And I think on that point, in my view, I'm putting my bias aside here. I genuinely think the Mercedes is one of the best looking cars on the grid. I love just that whole design. I love the AMG plastered all over it. That's like my favorite car, and it's the best looking car. But on the topic of Mercedes, I'm gonna come to you on this, Martin. I know you I think it's 3-4 weeks ago now, you said, the upgrades will be coming from Mercedes. Although Total Wolf did tell us that, they're starting to focus on the 2022 car. Do you feel for Mercedes in first and then the other teams? Do you feel as though it's a case of running into darkness or running into the blind when it comes to 2022? We don't know who's going to do better than the other. It could be a surprise team for all we know at the front of the grid. What's your take on that? Do you feel as though Mercedes first and foremost should be doing that, focusing all their attention on 2022? And then after that, is there any surprise package that you think will come through next year?
I feel when it comes to these regulations, these teams, especially the top teams, are always involved, aren't they? In some sort of way, they're giving their opinions or stuff. So I think Toto and the boys at Mercedes, even at Red Bull, McLaren, they would have Ferrari. They all have some type of idea prior. And I mean, the concept car we've seen has been that those rumors of that specific car has been around for a while now. So it's not like it's the complete unexpected. They've had about maybe year two bit prior to actually know some of the things that's going to come in. So when they say they're working on their 2022 car, I think a lot of teams have been working on it from probably last season. Maybe they're amping it up now. Obviously, as we get closer, we know certain teams are focusing more on this year's car, so we don't know if the Red Bull, especially for next year, will be as competitive as it has proved to be this season. But we never know because, I mean, as we said, they've kind of known what the type of regulations that are coming in for a number of months now. So they've had their time to look and research into these things. And I'm sure they'll find sneaky ways around their budget caps and everything that they've been using to improve the cars. So I think when it comes to that, these regulations, I think more importantly will be the power unit. I feel that's where a lot more teams tend to struggle when it comes to the power unit rather than the actual like the aerodynamics and the shape and the of the cars. Obviously, the lower teams struggle with the aerodynamics, but the bigger teams tend to really get it right. But I think it'll be more 2025 where more teams getting it wrong rather than right. I think a few teams will get it right. I think McLaren will get it right. I have faith in Aston Martin, they'll get it right. I think Mercedes, Red Bull, maybe Red Bull might take an extra season to get it right. I think those teams will get it right pretty quickly. I think it's more the power unit changes meant to come in 2025, 2026, whenever it is. That will be the bigger problem.
Yeah, and I think like that's probably the perfect segue into my next point, because they've turned around and said that, you know, there's going to be a lot of changes coming for 2022, but what's not going to change is the power unit. So it's going to use the same power unit as what they have in 2021. And what we saw at the start of the turbo hybrid era was obviously Lewis Hamilton made that move a year before in 2013. He may have, you know, Merc may have sold him the dream at the time and said, yeah, look, we're going to be developing a fantastic engine for the turbo hybrid era. You know, that might have just, you know, swung his decision in order to move to Mercedes. But I feel as though when it comes to the power unit itself, I completely agree with you, Martin. That's going to be crucial in terms of how the cars will operate in 2022. And obviously it's at the forefront right now. Like they're battling, you know, with fine margins in order to extract every last ounce of that engine. So it will be really, really crucial to see how this current engine that they're using in 2021 will do next year. So yeah, final point on this. I'm gonna come to you on it, and safety. So obviously safety is at the forefront of any car they design or any new rule change or any new car they're going to look to implement. But what would you like to see most when it comes to the safety of these cars? You know, we've seen some high profile incidents, not in the last week, but, you know, throughout the past few years in Formula One. You know, you had a crazy crash from Grosjean. I think that was like over 61G, and, you know, thankfully he was able to jump out of that inferno. Max Verstappen crashed at 51G. Horner reminded us a lot about that. But yeah, what would you like to see in terms of safety when it comes to these cars?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting one. I feel like with F1, they're continually pushing the boundaries with safety and developing it so that it's as good as possible. You see that with the safety cell around the driver is very effective now and has been for a number of years. And the halo that's come in, I mean, that's kind of been a revelation. So I think the main thing that is the good thing that they're doing is kind of basically taking a bit of speed off the cars, reducing their kind of net aerodynamic output so that, you know, they're not going as fast as they were back in like 2019, 2020. So I think just in general, by kind of reducing the speed which they take corners and stuff like that, you know, they can kind of decrease the likelihood of huge accidents like we saw at Silverstone, and, you know, we've seen in the past at Spa and stuff like that. So
yeah, definitely, I agree with you. I mean, look, let's just wrap it up there. When it comes to the car, I don't want to get my hopes up. I want to make sure that, you know, everything is being done from a concept point of view. The teams are fully briefed. They know what they need to abide by in terms of rules and regulations, and fingers crossed we can get, you know, an exciting new era of F1. So yeah, FIA, well done. Let's see what happens next year. But again, we cannot excuse the fact that this week, though, Red Bull have been completely salty. And it has quite left a bitter taste in my mouth. But I'm going to raise my glass here to you, Christian Horner, and your hypocrisy. The guys, if you join us on YouTube, we've all raised our glass to Horner and his hypocrisy. He turned around this week and he said, "You cannot stick a wheel up the inside. You cannot stick a wheel on the inside of the guy you're racing against at Copse Corner." Now, I've trolled through the archives. I knew for a fact there would have been a Red Bull that done that. And lo and behold, in 2013, Mark Webber done exactly the same thing to Kimi Räikkönen. Mark Webber, of course, was a Red Bull driver. And also, kind of Vettel done the same thing up against Alonso in 2014. I'm going to come to you on this, Martin. Is that just bullshit, bro? Like, are you allowed to stick a wheel up the inside of Copse? If you're talking about on mute, bro.
So yeah, it's just Karen Horner being, aka Salty Spice. That's what he is, isn't it? It's just him just talking absolute nonsense. You can always stick a wheel up any corner you want, mate. There's no rules against it. There's never a rule where it says, not even in a gentleman's agreement in terms of the sport where you'll say, you don't stick a wheel up this at this specific turn. As Hamilton's always said, if there's a gap, I am going for it. And I think, was it Senna said it? If you're a racing driver and you see a gap and you don't go for it, you're not a racing driver. And that's it. Perfect. That's it, really. Yeah. As I said, whether you want to debate whether whether it was Hamilton or Max's fault or whatever, that's a different story. The FIA already decided it was Hamilton's fault. Hamilton accepted that. He got his penalty and he recovered from it. And that's what great drivers do. That's what the greatest driver of all time does. So there's nothing really, whatever's happening now is just based on the fact of that Lewis won. Had he not won, they will not be doing all this talking right now. And it's just really boring. Every day they're coming out with a new statement and they're going to lawyer up and all of that. But it's just... And then 51 Gs as well.
Yeah.
Everyone crashes at 51 Gs, Christian Horner. Everyone. Carlos Sainz has done it. What's his face? My boy Perez has done it. They've even flipped over. Cars have flipped over. They do the maddest things, and guys walk away from it fine. So there's no even need to even bring up about the celebrations in the hospital as well. There was really no need in any of that to bring all of that up. We saw Grosjean crash into the barriers at 61 or I think 61 G and Sakir, and he walked from it fine. The only thing
the car split in half. The car split in half.
He walked away from it fine. The only thing that was wrong with him was burns from the fire, not from the actual impact of the car. So Max would have been fine. We know this F1 safety has come a long way. So he would have been fine. There was no, he had to go to hospital for checkup. That's about it.
So I think, I mean, again, I perfectly agree with everything you're saying. And one thing that really gets me, and I think this was seen with Red Bull's actions after the race, was that they were punishing, that they were upset that the FIA wasn't punishing the result. And when I say that, they should have, they punished Lewis. Lewis served his 10-second penalty. But because of the result of the 10-second penalty didn't work out the way they wanted, and he didn't win the race, they were upset by that. Now,
100.
It is what it is in Formula One. If Lewis causes an accident and he's deemed wrong, they're going to punish Lewis. They're not going to give Red Bull 25 points because he was in the lead. That's not the way it goes in Formula One. You're going to punish the driver who you think was in the wrong. Now, I want to come to you on this, Kunle. In terms of Red Bull and the way they were after the race, apparently there was data that was sent to Martin Brundle and it was tweeted. I don't know how reliable or reputable this source was, but he mentioned that he's been sent data to show that Lewis would have never made the corner going into Copse. Now, the fact that this is all coming out now, 2-3 days later, is it just saltiness from Red Bull, or is it, genuine legs to stand on and, go a bit further with this?
To be honest, I don't give a shit. Whatever it is.
Good.
I don't give a shit. I don't think Mercedes give a shit either. I don't think Lewis gives a shit either. They're just being... It's just Karen being extrally Karen, basically. It's like, you've called the cops have come to shut down the party, and then 3 days later, you're going to the landlord saying, they had a party 3 days ago, get them out of the house, yada. Bruh, it's gone, forget it. Move on.
Exactly.
I'm not expecting the FIA to suddenly say, oh yeah, they've brought data forward, we're going to take 25 points off Lewis and give it to Leclerc, or we're going to take 25 points off Lewis and give it to Max. It didn't even do 2 laps of the race.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, this is one of them cases where, yeah, he had an accident. Okay, my bad. Sorry you couldn't finish the race, but
you move in it.
The game is the game.
The game is the game.
To quote the famous, paid in full, man get bopped every day. People get popped. You get popped every day, B. It's what it is. Look, listen. Grosjean walked out of fire, and there was a race the next week. F1 moved on. There was the whole love and light thing, get well soon, my G, but we got a race to race. We're not gonna wait on you. So I don't think if there was going to be anything extra, it would have happened in the race the other day. But
exactly, yeah.
Looked at it, 10-second penalty. It's what it is. All they're doing right now is they're looking silly, in my opinion. Are you trying to win the court of popular opinion to say, oh yeah, Red Bull are right, they should be pissed off? Bro, Hungary is next week. Go do it on track.
Exactly. Just focus on Hungary now.
Hungary. Unless you're scared, unless you think, yeah, maybe our car's not as good as we think it is and we're going to get found out at some point. Focus on next week. Go do what you do on track. Beat the rest of the field by 14 seconds by the end of the race. And, stand on top of your car and raise your hand up. Do like what Vettel used to do back in the days. Do that finger I'm number one. If you're about that life. Not complaining on... Bro, let's move past these guys, man. I don't really want to talk about them no more because they're trying to stay in the news for too long.
So I personally think that Red Bull still have the best package. And I still think they got the best car on the grid. Regardless of whatever happens now, we saw that Max was very quick at Silverstone. And I just think that over the course of the season, they probably will have it within themselves to get over the line. Let's wait and see as to whether Max has, the mental strength to deliver that world championship. But obviously there's a very, very long way to go. Kunle got so upset at me asking about the saltiness of Red Bull, the doctor and Max. He decided to turn his camera off. But yeah, glad to see you back now, Kunle. I'm just going to ask. I'm just going to ask.
See, let's not speak on the doctor no more. We
know the doctor is.
We know what the doctor's about. We know what the doctor's about, and we know what Karen Spice is about as well. To be fair, you see, I don't even want to speak because they're all pissing me off. Talking about, oh yeah, why are you celebrating like that? That's not this, that's not that. Bruv, you was in hospital. Man didn't even know you was in hospital. It's come home, 125,000 people are screaming your name. What do you want me to do? Sulk and be like, oh, sorry, Max got hurt.
Yeah.
Bruh.
No. The more I see that Lewis Hamilton interview post-race, the more I actually smile. Because it's like he said everything perfectly. He was like, Max is an aggressive driver. What do you expect me to do? I'm not going to back out of a challenge. I need to go for it. And then they asked him, does it take the shine off your win? honestly know, because we're racing drivers. But then he perfectly caveated it by saying, look, I hope he's okay, and I do want a real-to-real race with him. But, you know, Lewis sent his message out there, and look, let's see what happens. I want to ask one more question on this, though, and it's not to do with Red Bull, but it's to do with the FIA. Now, do you feel as though the FIA handing out that 10-second penalty to Lewis, they would have done their research, they would have done, you know, they would have checked the graphs and data and whatever and seen that, okay, yeah, look, Lewis was doing this, okay, we'll give him a 10-second penalty. Do you think the fact that Red Bull are doing all of this after, it's quite insulting to the FIA and the decisions they're making? Yeah, anyone can jump in and answer this.
You know, low-key, no one rates the FIA. Low-key. Like,
but do you not think it's insulting to them, though?
No,
because they've made this, and then they're coming at them and saying, well, you got it wrong.
Exactly, because like you said, Anik, I mean, the FIA said they gave a penalty, 10-second penalty. Red Bull should really respect it now. They should respect it, but they're not. Like, it's the equivalent of, you know, you get in trouble in school. I don't know. Let's say you're back in school, for example. You get into a fight with one guy, and then the guy who beat you up gets a detention. But then you're trying to say, no, it should get suspended, even though all it was just a minor argument. Like, no need to milk it, no need to escalate more than it is. The FIA gave it the penalty that they gave it. That's they're the governing body at the end of the day. They don't look after the sport. They don't want to give the punishment. So you should really just respect it and follow it. Like, the way as well, how it's done, the penalties, it's done at the time of the incident. No one could have predicted that Lewis had to overcome the penalty as well during the race. No one would before the time that Lewis would win. So it's just a thing where I think Red Bull should just like suck up and just move on from it. And they should bounce back in the next race, honestly, like Kunle said. Even for them as well, Hungary, they've always been Hungary. Hungary is a very corner, twisty circuit, which Red Bull have always benefited at. So they've got enough to lose. They've got the best car at the moment. They shouldn't be playing these ulterior motives, trying to milk this situation, try and not get out. They shouldn't do that. They should just focus on the next race and go from there, get themselves back up, and just push it from there. I'm kind of tired of talking about the Silverstone crash. I can't lie, because I feel like because it's the first major incident between Max and Hamilton, and also now the media's kind of gassed up the whole Max Lewis rivalry. Yeah, that's what I think of it. But
they just got you know what it is, Kwame. They just got to move beyond it now. They keep making headlines about it, and we keep getting frustrated, and we keep wanting to have to talk about it.
Other sports, they're not having this, bro. They're just fining you. Like in
Simple.
the NBA, in the Premier League, in NFL, you come out and you talk about the officials, like the way Red Bull are coming out and talking about it. They're fining you 10,000 here, 20,000 there. And that's what needs to happen to Red Bull now. FIA needs to just pull it out of them and just say, listen, hey, look, 500,000 on your cap. That's it. Or 20,000 on your cap. Simple. Don't come into this. We've made our decision. We're the governing body. We made our decision. That's it. It's final. Whether you feel that it's enough, it's not. Suck it up. That's it. At the end of the day.
It's just, forget that.
And I think the worst thing about all of this, when it comes down to like Red Bull and not really Red Bull as such, but Horner's comments and stuff, it's enabling the racism that Hamilton's getting. And it was just horrible to see this week. I mean, last week I kind of called out and just said, listen, we know what was going to happen, and we saw it. And the fact that there's people on there like just denying it as well, is just like how you cannot see that his inflammatory comments are just enabling these racists to come out after him. And it's just horrible. It was horrible. It's horrible to see. And Christian Horner needs to be more aware of these things, or when he's talking like this, because especially when you're talking about the only black driver who has been subject to racism multiple times, you're making such inflammatory comments about or Helmut Marko, it basically insinuating that Hamilton's trying to murder Max. You can't be saying these type of things. Those are comments will insinuate racism. And you could say, oh, these people are making their own decision. Yes, we know they're making their own decisions, but that doesn't change the fact that those comments that those two people are making are what is causing this. It's the cause and effect. It's the cause and effect, and there's a lot of people that just don't understand that, and it's very disappointing to see. I think Horner especially just owe Hamilton an apology, whether it's privately or publicly. I don't really care, but they owe him some sort of apology. Whether you agree about the penalty or not, that's a different matter. But the fact that the matter is, they need to understand that their comments was enabling the racism that Hamilton received, the extra amount of racism that he received this week.
Yeah, 100%, bro. I cannot agree with you more there. There's no shadow of a doubt. The fact that Horner, Marco, and everyone from Red Bull came out and said those comments, especially Horner's, you know, I think it was quote unquote from his interview, says, I hope Hamilton's really happy with himself after discussing the Max Verstappen incident and, you know, Verstappen crashing out. That is going to trigger, that is going to cause it. You called it out last week, bro. And lo and behold, you know, we saw it the next day. It was actually disgraceful to see. And it's quite ironic, actually, because what we did want to touch on before the Silverstone Grand Prix itself was actually the Hamilton Commission. And I kind of want to dive into that at the moment now. So there was 10 months of research that took place with regard to the Hamilton Commission. There's like a board of 14 people which aims to improve diversity within motorsport. Now, there's a lot to the Hamilton Commission. I'm going to be honest, I haven't read it word for word or in depth. I understand some of the key highlights, but is this something that can actually happen in the sport? We've got a few drivers coming up from ethnic minorities. You've got Hamilton there that's, you know, leading the way at the moment, but is something going to happen as a result of this?
I mean, yeah, I think you would very much hope so. I feel like now Hamilton definitely has the backing of not only the major people in the sport, in the FIA, but a handful, like a significant amount of teams on the grid who are kind of actually committing to, you know, solid proposals to actually target and help improve diversity within F1 moving forward. And I feel like in the time that I've watched the sport, you've kind of gradually seen like very, very little by little. But now I think it's slightly more noticeable. So in the future, I think Hamilton's legacy will definitely be evident maybe in 10 to 15 years time, when you have these kind of scholarships and diversity access schemes that kind of bear fruit over time. I think it's definitely exciting. And yeah, something that Hamilton can't really be praised about enough, really. I mean, he's one of the only drivers on the grid that is so outspoken about such issues. So yeah, I think it's an exciting time for F1 to see how it develops.
Yep, definitely. I feel as though with things like this, though, we need to make sure that once it is out there, it's you know, it's followed up and it gets the right support and it's put into place, and every step of the way we're looking to continually build on that diversity, make sure it's there in the sport. And I know I've said it as well ever since we, you know, fired up Pitstop Fracas, that, you know, I could, if I have a son or a daughter from any ethnic background or any ethnic minority, or even if they're not an ethnic minority, even if they're an ethnic majority, and I don't want to take them to compete in motorsport competitions and have to pay top dollar. You know, you want to make this sport accessible to everyone. And I feel as though that cost cap and that financial barrier is also something, you know, further down the line that needs to be broken down, because from a financial point of view, I think it's quite alarming, especially now, this sort of, you know, astronomical figures that are involved. I know we set up like, we actually hosted a few clubhouse rooms as well. And we said, look, some guys are having to spend like, you know, thousands of pounds just to compete in a race. But yeah, I've gone off on a tangent there with regard to the financial aspect. But I'm going to come to you, Martin. What was your initial takes on the Hamilton Commission?
I think I think I haven't read it in full either, but it was just it was like the things that you're seeing, how it wasn't just a study into motorsport, but it was like a study into schooling as well. And I think it was very interesting to highlight how it highlighted the fact that it's a systemic problem, and it's not just a problem within motorsport in general. Like the fact that I can't remember what it was. Was it like one in four? Not 1 in 4, but like basically like bare children don't have exposure to like a black teacher.
Yeah,
and that those type of things like is like it's kind of shocking. I mean, I went to school where there was quite a number of black teachers, but I can imagine if you go outside of London now, and outside of major cities, there will be a lot of schools where they won't have that. And for a young black person, I think it's important to have like a black teacher to encourage you to do certain things. Because I remember when I was especially in primary school, the black teachers that I had were the ones that did more of the encouraging, where it's encouraging to do an instrument, whether it's encouraging to do sporting achievements and stuff. And while yes, white teachers will do that, and there will be some white teachers, but it feels a lot better, especially when it comes down to the parents as well. A parent's talking to someone that looks like them, and that's encouraging their child to do something, and it feels like it's coming from a better place that way as well. So I think that was one of my biggest takeaways from it. And that was it really. And then obviously there's certain teams that weren't willing to participate in it, which I don't think was really a shock, but yeah.
Yeah. So as I said before, it's about, okay, the commission's out there. Now let's keep following it up. Let's keep driving it. Let's keep making sure that that's the case. Because I remember we can kind of draw similarities to that kick racism out of football here. It's all about making sure that, football is an example. You want to kick racism out of it. And in order to do that, you have to start right from the grassroots, right from, when people are first kicking a ball out on the school pitch. And it's kind of what the Hamilton Commission is looking to do. They're looking to start off extremely early, broaden access to motorsport, establish a new innovation fund to help address the factors that contribute to a high proportion of students from black backgrounds who do get excluded from school, piloting new approaches to increase black teachers in STEM, so science, technology, engineering and mathematics. So there is a whole host of things there that, a whole host of recommendations there that the Hamilton Commission is looking to do. So fingers crossed, for me, when I first saw it, when I actually understood the ins and outs of it, I was like, this is brilliant. And this is definitely something we want to see in the sport going forward, because it just goes to show that the talent is definitely there. And you can clearly see that. We're witnessing firsthand Lewis Hamilton, the greatest ever motorsport driver, deliver that. But yeah, I just want to look to wrap up now. And Kunle, I want to get your final thoughts on this. The Hamilton Commission, what was your initial reaction to this? And how do you think it's going to work in the future?
All right, this is quite for me. I take things like this very serious, right? Because if you look at it, if you look back, I don't know when you guys were in school. If you look back, maybe 10, 15 years when you were in school, and none of your mates wanted to be an F1 driver. None of your mates wanted to work in an F1 garage. No one wanted to do that, just because there wasn't that exposure to that field or that environment. So I feel like the success of whatever comes of this would be that kids in school, kids of my color, know that there's a possibility of them working roles in Formula One teams. If we get more drivers, that's great. But it's more than the drivers, right? It's getting into the teams, it's working in the pits, it's working in strategy, it's working in accounting, it's working in, it's working in logistics, it's working as the engineers, it's working as the data scientist. It's a whole, motorsport is more than the driver driving the car. It's a whole setup. And if this commission, if in the next 10 years, there are more black faces, I'm watching TV, I'm watching a race, and I'm seeing in the pit stop, I'm seeing more than the token black engineer or the token black person in the garage. I'm seeing, more people of color. I'm seeing more women. I'm seeing a diverse range of people that support a Formula One team. Then I would see it as a success. But until then, this is, again, even Lewis himself said it, this is just the surface of what is going to happen. This is just identifying the problem. And now that the problem has been identified, I hope the people who are in charge, the people who have the financial backing and the financial resources can help to sort of make these changes, because whether we like it or not, if nothing is done, the gap keeps widening.
You know what? It's funny you say that, and it's quite interesting to see that as much as we want this to happen, it keeps coming. What's a fundamental role in this is the role of finances and how money can also play a huge factor. There needs to be massive investment into
money.
this.
Everything involves money. Whatever changes you make, if you work in strategy, if you're going to implement a strategy, you need money to implement a strategy. You're not just gonna I'm not just going to, if Bernie comes in now and says, I'm gonna put 500 mil, we need to get 3 drivers, who are from different races, 3 drivers that are not Caucasian in F1. The team that can do this would get $500 million to their budget the year that they do it. Trust me, you would see 3 colored drivers. You would see 3 drivers from different races. So at the end of the day, it comes down to the financials, and there is okay. I hate that I'm having to say this because bless his heart. There's a reason why Nicky is in a team. When I say Nicky, I mean Nicholas.
Yeah, Latifi.
Yeah. There's a reason why he's in a team, and other drivers are in the team. But yeah, potato, tomatoes. But you that's the thing. I wish it wasn't about finances. And don't get me wrong, I don't want someone that's mediocre. I don't want someone that cannot do the job there. But I want kids. I want kids of color. I want kids, I don't know if kids listen to this podcast. And if they do, sorry for the swearing. But I want kids to be able to know that, I can work in F1. If I'm good enough, I can drive an F1 car. If I'm a good enough engineer, I can work in Brackley, I can work in Brixworth, I can work in, I can do a job in an F1 team because I'm good enough. But many kids don't know that. And even the report, sorry, Anik, even the report says, I'm looking at it and it says, Black people are closed out of opportunities within STEM. When Black people think of STEM, we're thinking of doctors, nurses,
engineers,
IT guys. You're not really thinking of motorsport engineers because you see that area of engineering and you're thinking, I'm never going to be able to get a job in that place because it's quite white and the access is limited. But I want to see more of my people. I want to see more people of color. I want to see more people from backgrounds where traditionally you're not, according to these guys, you're not meant to be in that position. And you're not the token person, you've been there on merit, and it's not just one person, it's more than one person. I want to watch an F1 race. I want to see the head of strategy. I want to see the head of the engineering team, not the typical white male. I want to see a Black man. I want to see a Black woman. I want to see an Asian man. I want to see an Asian woman, in these positions. And maybe it's not going to happen now. Maybe it's not going to happen next year. But again, we love this sport. So we're hoping this sport is going to be around for a long time. And at some point, we would hope to look back and say, you know what? 2020, we were discussing getting people into the sport. And now we're here. We've done it. And that would be the success of initiatives like this. Thank you.
No, 100%, bro. I fully agree with everything you said there. And it is a very serious topic, which is why I did want to dive into it and talk about it on the pod. And I feel as though when I was a kid, I knew about Formula One. Yeah, this is a long time ago, by the way, guys. Yeah, I knew about Formula One, and I wanted to be. Sorry,
Fangio days, yeah.
Fangio days. Actually, it's funny you should say that. I was looking at the auction, and Fangio's car from 1950 is the most highest selling F1 car ever to be auctioned.
It's crazy. It was like
3 million.
I've got a question. Who was competing against Fangio though?
Anik.
That's another pod, isn't it?
We saved that for another pod.
You see these legends of F1 here. We need to start looking at their legendary status.
That's why we need to do a deep dive of their Wikipedia.
We need to deep dive
mate, I'd love to do a deep dive into the Doctor's Le Mans car, but yeah, we'll save that for another day. But coming back onto what I was saying earlier, I feel as though I want to definitely be a Formula One driver. I saw Schumacher, I saw Hakkinen. These guys actually got me so excited from the sport, and I wanted to so badly become an F1 driver. And I knew in order to do that, you had to do karting. And I went and I done my research, and I was like, some of the figures involved to drive a car at that age. You know what? I'll be honest with you guys. I didn't even bother telling my mum or dad, because I knew at the time they would have said, that's ridiculous. What, to drive a car around the circuit? We're going to pay that amount for you. And for me, that was just the norm. It was like, okay, well, obviously I know, my parents are not going to spend, thousands and thousands to get in a seat and race, race around the circuit. So I feel as though, as much as we're talking about, diversity and ethnic minorities and, the gender equality, the financial barrier has to be broken down in order to let these good things in Formula One come about. So yeah, I'm gonna come to you on this, Kwame. What's your take on it, bro?
Yeah, I mean, I think like the Hamilton Commission, I feel like they've started a good basis. I feel like they've established the issues pretty well currently. So, like we're talking about issues with not many black or BAME teachers. When you see figures, what like almost half of schools that have no black, Asian, or ethnic minority as a teacher, that's an astonishing fact, especially everyone here in the school who's of a BAME background. So imagine being a kid, of ethnic minority background. You're in school now. Your teacher ain't gonna be able to relate to you. Your teacher ain't gonna be able to encourage you or help you or know your coming from situation just because of different cultures or different backgrounds, how you view things. So that in itself, now you're pretty much you're more likely to fail in life. You're more likely to, especially as well with like engineering roles. You really need to get like the higher grades to get into your university to get a degree, which a lot of these engineers call aerodynamics. You have to do subjects like A-level maths, which is a myth. Like, fam, from GCSE, you see people get 8s and A's to get easy using A-level maths. It's difficult. So you need support there and whatnot. So I'm glad they've kind of established that as the basis that we need to get more BAME teachers, more teachers of ethnic minorities, and like you guys have said, like especially from outside of London as well. That's gonna be too much harder when everyone else is not looking like you. But about to be more on the positives, to be honest with you. At the moment, it does seem like the Hamilton Commission has got like a lot of key figures or key societies. So they've got like the Royal Academy of Engineering on board. So they've got an energy society body on there, so that can give them the input, the knowledge, and the feedback. And they've got links there, which they can build on, and also F1 now as well on the back of the Hamilton Commission. They've started on their own scholarship system, which was one thing that I actually recommended quite a while back. When you're talking about how to get people from karting, like Anik said, karting's probably what, £20 a pop, like for one go, and an average kid from ends, you can't afford it. Let's keep it real.
Bro, it's like £20 for like 5 minutes. It's £20 for 5 minutes.
I know.
No, but if you put it into perspective, we can go and play football for 90 minutes and play £6.50.
Not even
You put it
£6.50
into
for free.
Yeah,
You get
well,
the jumpers and goalposts. You make up a ball.
Exactly. Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Same with basketball.
It just puts it into perspective. Yeah.
Yeah. Get a basket, throw it into the basket. You're there. But F1 obviously because it's engine based and it's so much mechanics and you need money. So it's good that they've got the current scholarship. I feel like 10 students is way too little. Though. There's only 10 students they're doing the scholarship for, which is way too little. But they limit it to ethnic minorities, women, underprivileged backgrounds. It's going to start this year in September 2021. And it's universities from Oxford and Cambridge. So top unis, even Cov as well. Shout out Cov. Shout out my guys out there. And Manchester Medical. So, and also in Italy. So
not you trying to sneak in Cov as a top uni, but okay.
I'll call you there. Yeah.
Right, but no, that's like the list of unis they've got a scholarship with. Pretty sure scholarship as well. So pretty sure like Cov they got links with like Jaguar, Land Rover. I think the headquarters nearby, and obviously Oxford, Cambridge is Oxford. So they're starting from somewhere, and like they've got a scholarship system there. They've got apprenticeship and internship system there based on engineering. So and it's all being paid for by the by F1. So you have to pay for tuition fees. So that's not too bad. And what Chase Carey says, was it £1 million or £1 bill? £1 billion donation straight from Chase Carey, who's the chairman of F1. So there's money being put into this. There's big people in this as well. Like Martin Whitmarsh, ex-McLaren team principal. Yeah, he's part of the chair for the Talented Commission. So there's a lot of like big names, big people pushing it. Hopefully they back their chat. And hopefully, I feel like Kunle said, we have to wait and see 10 years, 20 years down the line. Hopefully we see people coming from this campaign, this commission, who from now are thinking, I want to get to F1, but I don't know how. Now they've got the means to it. And hopefully we see more and more, black faces, and not just black faces, but Asian faces, or more women, or more LGBTQ, more people with different backgrounds in F1. Because that's what we need, because like we used to be saying, like this boy's a very white, male, straight, dominated sport. No one needs to save space for everyone.
Yep, 100% agree with you that with you on that, and yeah, I guess that's probably the perfect place to wrap up. When we started up Pitstop, I was always pushing for 3 things, and that's equal race, equal gender, and break down that financial barrier. And as long as we're here, Pitstop Fracas will continue to voice that opinion, push for it, and make sure that it's always there and trying to happen as much as possible. And hopefully this Hamilton Commission can kickstart a chain of events, and hopefully in years to come we'll see what we want to see in Formula One. So not just Formula One, across the board in motorsport, and not just the drivers themselves, but all the operations in the background, people that support the drivers, the cars, the head of strategy, these engineers. It's fingers crossed we'll see that. We will see that, and if so, it will be amazing to see.
Ferrari though, I'll just say that we won't see a Ferrari.
Yeah. I mean, certain teams.
Ferrari's fine, man.
Ferrari, Red Bull.
Ferrari and Red Bull.
I'm not sure about Red Bull.
Had that token pit stop black guy who does the pit and all that with the dreads. Shout out him.
Yeah, shout out to him still.
Shout out, brother. But yeah, guys, that's it for this week. We'll be back next week where we'll be reviewing the Hungarian Grand Prix. So until then, guys, peace.
Bye, guys.
Peace.